Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to this Level Cap podcast, your podcast for things Level 99 games related and sometimes otherwise. I am your host, Marco DeSantos, and with me is, of course, always the ever-amazing Brad Talton Jr. How are you doing, Brad?
I'm doing well. I feel like these introductions overplay my qualifications a little bit, though.
I just call you wonderful. It's like, do you deny this? I think you're a very wonderful person.
I don't like to talk about myself too much.
Well, let's talk about games instead. We have a very wonderful docket for all of you guys tonight. All of you listeners are, of course, going to be very excited for some questions to be answered, for some news to be said, and of course, for some cutesy little discussions between two dudes who just want to talk about board games. Aren't I right?
Indeed. Let's get started.
All right, so let's catch up a little bit. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing well. It was a good week. Got a lot done. We started off the art contest. For BattleCon fan art contest, we got a working on new version of Seventh Cross. Did some taxes and bookkeeping, all the business stuff, and working on finishing up trials for production. So we've got got a lot going on like usual, but it's always fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Speaking of trials, have we fixed Darius's drink yet?
Which one? Which one do we not?
Arqueous Arbor? The one that's like,
Uh,
if it would not deal damage, it does not, or something.
I don't think it's been specifically fixed yet, but it will be fixed probably by the end of the week.
All right, that's awesome. On the other hand, I've been wrecked because school started up again, and it's just eating up all my time, and I hate it.
Oh yeah, it's like midnight over there for you now, right?
Yeah, it's almost midnight. It's like 11:35, 11:30.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I have to wake up in like 6 hours or something. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm used to it. Life of a college student. Anyway, so let's move on to one of our segments I've been playing. So this week, I've actually been playing some Grim Dawn. It's this.
How was that?
Yeah, Grim Dawn's like this action RPG loot fest. Like, it's Diablo. It's basically
Yeah.
Diablo, right? And I really, really, really find it exciting because when I play games, I'm like the JRPG guy who hates JRPGs, wherein the characters, like, you have a static party. Like, you can't determine who your party is, or you can't even level up the skills of your party. So it's like playing Final Fantasy VI, but never getting the chance to swap party members ever. So you're kind of like stuck with the same four characters, and they all have the same preset skills. I hate that. I hate that in JRPGs. I'm a very big fan of like Final Fantasy V or even Final Fantasy X, where you can just basically make everyone do anything, and it's all about creativity and mixing and matching strategies and skills and all that stuff. Grim Dawn kind of scratches that itch for me in terms of action RPGs because they have this very interesting system wherein when you make a character, you don't pick a class. So it's like when you play Diablo 3, you don't pick Barbarian, you don't pick Wizard, or whatever they chose to call their...
Well, you do in Diablo 3.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, so that's
So,
the
so
whole...
you're saying it's not like that aspect of Diablo
Yeah,
3.
it's not like that. Because in Diablo 3,
Right.
you do that. Like at character creation, you pick your class, that's it. And it's all about your build, and that's what changes it. In Grim Dawn, you actually have what they basically are mastery trees that are basically jobs or classes all of their own. But you get to pick them when you level up the first time. But the best part about it is that when you level up a few more times, you get to pick a second one. So you can dual class.
Mhm. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you can build something a lot more unique than. Okay, that's pretty cool.
yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
what do you call this? There's like 7 classes, so you can essentially mix and match 7 times 6 if you want, and you'll have like so many classes variations. And it's so good. I mean, like, they don't have special skills that you get for picking a certain combination of 2 classes, but the way you can combine classes makes it really interesting and makes replayability insane. Because you can pick a thief, like their rogue or hunter, whatever you want to call it, and you can pick the soldier, which is like the barbarian-esque character, and you can match them together. And depending on what skills you choose to build on either side, that class combination can either turn into a DPS melee unit or it can turn into a tank. It's like it really depends on which skills you decide to pick. So it's very interesting. Like I picked two of the highest DPS classes, one of which is basically the Demon Hunter, and the other one is essentially a rogue, and I made it into a tank, and it worked. And it's amazing to me every time.
That does sound pretty fun. I'll have to check it out next time I'm shopping for games.
Yeah, so what have you been playing?
I just finished a game called Oxenfree last night. It's about these five kids, and you're out on the island, and you bring your radio into this haunted cave, and you pick up this signal. And by tuning into this signal, you unleash ghosts all over the island. And you have to use your radio to to figure out what their motives are and try to either try to stop them before it's too late. It was pretty cool. It took me about, I want to say it took about 5 hours to clear the game. I didn't do like everything in the game, but I just went through it. It was about 5 hours long. It was pretty cool. My only complaint with it is that the game, like, it wasn't totally clear what your objectives were in the game. Like, there's one point where they say, oh, there's all these clues hidden around the island, and then there's another point where the ghosts come to you and say, like, well, time is running out, and in another hour all your friends will be killed. And you kind of, because in like a regular video game I'd be like, oh, well, this is a video game, I'll go explore the island. But in this game I was like, is this actually timed? Am I actually going to potentially trigger a bad ending if I don't go if I go off the beaten path? I don't know, because the game's so freeform. I wasn't sure that the normal video game rules apply, and I could go on the scavenger hunt.
Oh yeah.
So I just went straight for the end. I think I got the bad ending, but it wasn't totally clear. Anyway, it was a neat a little game. It was not quite Until Dawn, which is probably my favorite in that genre.
Oh,
Until
really?
Dawn is
Okay.
probably one of the best games I've ever played. But it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not a really big fan of that like storyteller esque genre, right? Because Until Dawn's the one with like, it's like a slasher flick. That's the one, right?
Yeah, where the kids are up on the mountain, and there's there's some kind of murderer there.
Yeah.
I won't spoil it for you, but it's really good. And despite what Marco says, you guys should all go watch or play Until Dawn, or watch somebody play Until Dawn. It's just as much fun to watch somebody else play it. But it's best is when you get like 2 or 3 people and you just like tag team it, and you and you kind of like let the story unfold for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. Heavy Rain was also really good.
Oh,
and
okay.
I enjoyed Heavy Rain a lot. That's
Yeah.
one. That's another one where you're like trying to solve this murder mystery killer that leaves puzzles behind, kind of like the Saw.
Origami Killer, right? That's what he's called.
Yeah,
Something.
that's the guy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think these kinds of games, I'm not going to contest the fact that they're probably really good games. I guess I'm just saying they're not my cup of tea.
Yeah, it's good to break out of your mold a little bit, though.
Yeah, maybe I'll try it out. I think I have Until Dawn. I think I, like, bought a Humble Bundle or something that had it. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'll check it out if I get the time. So, let's move on to our next segment here. Let's talk about our character of the week. Our character of the week for this week is the ever wonderful Lixis. Can't remember or pronounce her last name.
Oh, see, now I understand. You introduce the character of the week the same way you introduce me. I'm just the character of every week. Now the truth comes out.
Oh no, yeah. Brad's the ultimate character of the character.
I'm just
of
a
forever.
character to you, Marco.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. No, you are people.
But
to
yeah.
me.
But Lixis Rankanda is the character of the week, and so this is one of my personal favorite characters. So she's the first Dryad character that we had in BattleCon, and she is a biomancer, which is an alchemist who works with life energy, and so she she was a Dryad living in this forest on the edge of Sanghalim, which is the big western desert nation, and as the desert starts creeping closer every year, she decided, I'm gonna leave and try and find a way to save the forest. and so she goes to Argent University and studies alchemy. And and alchemy is a skill that is generally not done by dryads. They're all in nature magic. So she's
Okay.
kind of an odd duck for taking up technology discipline. But it turns out she's really good at it. She's really meticulous and really driven, and she manages to become a very skilled alchemist. And then she heads north to Willat and meets up with this other guy, Aaron Ross, who is sort of a an ex criminal against his homeland,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Unethical
because he
experiments.
protests. Partly unethical experience, but mostly because he protested this war that they carried out on the Dryads in the northern province.
Oh, okay.
So they had this industrial revolution in Willat, and the Dryads were like, no, this is you can't pollute the earth this way. And so the Magisters were like, oh look, yes we can, and they carpet bombed the forest,
Oh my goodness.
and now there's just this wasteland in the north, where the Dryad forest used to be. And so now they have, because they don't have any dryads, there's all these crazy diseases and plagues in the north, and they have to spend a good bit of their time working on medical technology to counteract that. Also, there's this whole dryad terrorist organization that they have to deal with now, but that's like an entirely different plot line. But anyway, Aaron Ross protested this, and he was a very famous researcher on homunculi. And so he was in line to become a magister himself, but because of his protest, they kicked him out and they banned his research. And so Lixus gets together with him, and they start working, and she starts working, in his laboratory about how to build some kind of artificial tree that will be able to withstand the desert and reclaim the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And she eventually creates this homunculus called August. And the alongside that, they also create Carolyn, who's another fighter in BattleCon.
Yep.
Um, anyway, at the end of that plot line, the Magisters find out where they are and decide to destroy their laboratory.
Oh yeah.
Aaron Ross, dies in that event, and August stays behind and fights off, this army of cadenza soldiers, and Carol and Lixis escape. And so that's where the story of BattleCon picks up, of War, the first BattleCon picks up, is after that prologue. And the so Lixis is just trying to basically get some kind of laboratory together to get, because she's on the run right now. She's trying to get some kind of laboratory together so that she can finish her research and try and save her forest. Carolyn is, worried about what she's really meant to be, because without her father figure, Aaron Ross, she doesn't kind of have any destiny for herself set out.
Well,
Um,
he's kind
yeah,
of there in spirit, technically, I guess.
a little bit, but not the same. It's really not the same.
Yeah, it's really
But
not the same.
Lixis, yeah, and Lixis is not a great mother figure for her either, because Lixis is kind of like, well, you're not the one I built to save, the forest, so you're not really that useful to me, except to protect me when these soldiers attack.
Oh, you are nothing but a tool. You're a character to me. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I mean they get along. They get along, but it's not the relationship that she had with Aaron Ross. That Carolyn had with Aaron Ross. Lix is a very kind of cold, calculating sort of character, and each of the dryads is tied to a tree in their forest, and it's pretty soon that Lixis's tree is going to get claimed by the desert. And so at that point, she can either, decide to die alongside her tree, or to use her alchemy and magic and technology to extend her life artificially. And at that
Oh,
point, if she does, she'll become a husk, which is like a plague dryad. And those are these monstrous creatures that are, ill omens that roam the land and cause death and disaster.
which
But she could survive as one of those things
Kaja is
and
one of them, right?
continue. Yeah, Kaguya is one. Um,
Oh.
and
Oh.
I mean, they are natural creatures, but they're not. They're also undead. So they're typically not regarded too nicely. by
Yeah,
folks.
I can assume if like worms are coming out of your face, right?
Yeah, you start to rot, yeah, and like a tree.
Yeah. Would you happen to know what kind of tree Lixis is based off? Like, what's her?
Yeah, so the dryads, their name is has three parts. The first name is her name. The second name is the tree's name, and the third name is the tree's species. So the Canada tree is a really big kind of redwood sort of tree, and it's known for being really tough and for having having like a sap that gives strengthening properties. So it's a really large hardwood tree is the basic sum of it
Ooh.
with some properties to give longevity. And so in BattleCon, Lixus actually is the probably the second tank in the game after Cadenza. She has the most, stun guard and roots and disruption. She's much more of a technical, tank fighter, but she has all these tools that you traditionally associate with heavyweights.
Yeah. I really think that Lixus's design overall is very interesting because basically on the package, especially with her appearance, right? She's a rather slender lady, right? So it's
Mhm.
like when you see this character and you see the unique ability that comes with her, you think like tricky or like control character, like a tricky controlled character who probably dances around you and stuff. But no, when you get into her cards, she has like stun guard 3 on this thing, soak 2 on that thing. You can't move me. I'm like a tree. It's like it's great. It's two very disparate or like very opposite views of what this character can be, but they kind of mesh together in a way that's very elegant. And I really like Lixus's design overall. And I think she's a very interesting character because I feel like this is one of those characters where she actually benefits from being in a board game compared to a video game. Because the way that she can control you is not necessarily something that a lot of video game, fighting game characters can or have done. I just remember that there's like a character in Guilty Gear or something who can disable buttons on your controller or something like that.
Huh.
But
That's pretty neat.
yeah, so it's like, he can stop you from punching or kicking or something like that. So I guess it's like the closest analog you can have to somebody like Lixus. But Lixus can straight up remove like basic capabilities from the game from you with her unique ability, right? And
Hmm.
it's really 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 interesting because this is I think one of the first characters that I looked at and thought to myself, this isn't something you can easily do in a video game, or this isn't something that you would ever do in a video game because it would be horrible to play, right? Because it's like if your controls just stop working suddenly, the game absolutely feels unresponsive.
Yeah, she certainly can be a bit what's the word? A bit discouraging because she's that lockdown archetype. Um, but and I like to create a character that doesn't play exactly how they look. Like she looks slender and everything, but if you look close, you actually can see the wood grain on her skin.
Oh
And you
really?
realize, oh, this person is basically made of hardwood, and that's why they have soak and stun guard and all this stuff. Um, you know, um, but yeah, she's pretty neat, and she can certainly mix things up in a game. Like you can't rely on everything that you know, and it makes it so that you have to play around Lixus's pace, at least as long as she has her naturalizing ability out
Yeah, that's
to
true.
neutralize all your skills.
Yeah, so let's get into that. If you were to give anybody listening right now some tips for playing this lovely, lovely Dryad, or this, what tips would you give for some aspiring Lixus players out there?
Um, I would say just try and frustrate your opponent as much as possible. Make the make whatever play you think is going to trip up your enemy the most, because each one of her cards is designed to trip up in a different way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so so look at what your opponent wants to do, and just mercilessly cut that off at every opportunity you have.
Yeah, I think that's a very good paradigm to take. If I were to give any tips for playing Lixus, it's as you've said. make use of that naturalizing style because it's actually one of Lixus's biggest threats, especially against, characters who use a lot of token abilities, unique abilities that increase their stats, or when they do anti-cards or stuff like that. Lixus can really trip that up, and it actually ends up being one of the biggest threats she has ever, because she can use it to absolutely dominate opponents who are not prepared for it, and they end up wasting a lot, and I literally mean a lot of resources, and it's really, really bad whenever it happens.
Yeah, she kind of has this tempo UA where you hit people and they discard cards, and it's like poison, and that's great. But her real, when we designed Lixis, the real UA for the character is that she has this naturalizing style that shuts down all tokens and all buffs and all forms, pretty much every kind of stat buffing thing you'd want to do. She can shut it down, and that's her real unique ability.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though. To say that basically her power budget is allotted to that style rather than the unique ability, and I think that design space is explored not enough. I really want more characters like that, like Cadenza, for example. Like I think a lot of the power budgets in that wonderful, wonderful Clockwork.
Yeah, or Alexian and particularly.
Oh,
I guess
Stalwart.
Alexian's completely in there. Yeah, in his styles.
Yeah, completely in style. So, yeah, if you guys really liked knowing a lot more about Lixis or knowing more about her strategies and especially her backstory, because that's not something that you get to hear any other place, do tell us if you want to hear about any other character in the cast. Of course, we will always take suggestions over Twitter. Maybe you'll send us some stuff on like other forms of social media, but don't worry about it. If we find you guys wanting specific characters enough, don't worry, they'll get in there. Right, Brad?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if people are more interested in the story portion or the gameplay portion, or in both equally. So tell us what you're thinking of these different segments.
All right.
In our comments section.
Yeah. Thanks. That's pretty good. That's pretty smart. So let's move on to some questions. 99 questions, which aren't actually 99 questions. Are you okay with that, Brad?
Till we get to episode 33.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. But this is
assuming we keep up at our rate of three a week.
Yeah. This is actually the fourth one we're recording. I think fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
Or something.
I think it's episode 4. Yeah.
Oh, we're almost in the running for the longest Level 99 Games podcast. So
terrible. Terrible but true.
Oh my goodness. All right, so let's ask some questions from the community. Here's an interesting one. Now that we're going to be entering some organized play and all that stuff, will you guys still be providing tournament packs, and will the contents just be a bunch of old promos, or is it going to be different tournament exclusive stuff like posters or whatever?
I think that what we will do is that the tournaments will be a chance to get your hands on the promos from last season that you missed. So if you missed out on the preseason promos like Red Moon Karen or like Space Invader Cadenza, some of those guys, then that's what we'll be putting in the tournament kits during season 1. And then in the same thing, like by season 2, maybe we'll include some of the old preseason and season 1 promos, so you can catch up on stuff you missed out on if you didn't do the organized play league. We're also going to be introducing some stuff for you get some bonus points if you're playing at a store or it's like a public venue.
Mm-hmm.
So if you host a public tournament or a public league event, you could get some bonus points for that. And there's some talk about merging the different leagues together. Although I guess by the time this comes out, you'll already know if that's happened or not, since season 1 will start next week.
Oh yeah, okay.
And we're recording like two weeks in advance, I think. So
yeah. This is the only way we'll ever stay on schedule with this.
So we're not certain at this point, but you'll be certain by the time this comes out. So, be sure to tell past me how you're enjoying the new tournament system and league system that we've come out with.
That's awesome. How about this one? And I really do apologize for this because this is usually what we get when people are asked for community questions. Would you have any cool updates for BattleCon Online? Maybe a specific date for open beta or whatever.
Specific dates are bad news.
Bad news bears.
Yeah. Chad told me yesterday that it's going to be playable again tomorrow. So he and Reagan are coming back tomorrow to get it back to playable. Switching from Turbo over to Strategic, for those who know about all of that, has kind of put things down for a while, and compounded with the holiday break. We're just about through it all. Like our new database is up, our new server is running. We just have to make the front end so that it can present the choices to you, and then you can pick one of those choices and execute it.
All right.
So that's coming along. Hopefully that'll all be ready in the next in the next few next few weeks. So I'm hoping that it's going to be very early in February that we go on back to our closed beta, and hopefully to an open beta soon after, because all the content's done. Like all the characters are done, all the special effects are done. We might spruce up a few special effects, but like you can purchase characters, you can play the training dummy, you can play against people. All this stuff works, and so it's really about time to just throw it out there and let people start playing.
All right.
So I'm really excited to to kick it out of the house and let it stand on its own. It's been over well over a year now, so it'll be good to finally fulfill our promise on that. And I'm looking forward to to showing everybody what we've done in this time.
And I'm looking forward to making videos about it and posting it on YouTube so people can see how bad
It'll
I
be fun.
am. And this last question is very interesting. So in the last podcast, we were talking about like how some people like to play physically, or some people like to play with like tabletop sim or with bacon sheets or Vassal and stuff. So do you worry about people using those methods of playing your game instead of actually buying the game?
No, not too much. I think that I think that people will, if people are enjoying those methods, then they'll be excited for the game. And if they're excited for the game, then, either they'll buy it or someone close to them will buy it. But really, it's not too much of a concern to me. The important thing is that people are playing games and having fun and getting together to do that. And if as long as I can stay afloat doing that, then that's cool to me. Um, but I do appreciate everybody who buys the game, and I hope that we can give you a little something extra for buying the game. And that's one reason that we're doing extra incentives for like physical location tournaments and such. So if you have a physical copy of the game, then you can go and run public organized play events, and you can get a lot more you get more points for doing that, and you can get more bonus stuff from us at the end of the season. So hopefully that'll give enough incentive for people to go out and play in IRL.
All right. So that pretty much does it for some 99 questions, which we're slowly approaching towards actually being true. And now let's have some news 99, some very awesome announcements from very awesome people. So Brad, do you have any awesome announcements for us right now?
I do. I think that by the time that this podcast comes out, it'll be just right to announce our newest big box project, which is called Imperial Spells and Steam. This is a
Ooh.
train
Choo
game
choo.
set in the world of Indies, where you control various train companies trying to build a rail line from Corcaroli, the eastern capital of Relicor, to Imperial City, the capital of St. Column in the west. And so you're building east to west across the continent, and so it's got a very kind of American Old West feel, but infused with Nokomento's great art, and of course all the wild and crazy stuff we have in Indians. So there's like a demon train that runs from the underworld. There's like a Kaon rail line that runs from space. The Dryads have this train line that's made out of caterpillars, with like caravan carts on their back.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's like some
So
Ghibli-esque stuff there.
everybody's got some cool train line. You can play as Runica, you can play as Seth. They both have train lines to their name. You can play as a bunch of brand new characters that we're introducing. And it's got this really cool tableau building system where as you build to across the land, you research new like spell abilities, and these are how you lay track and build stations and manipulate the stock market. So it's by the designer of Argent, Trey Chambers,
Oh, okay.
and it's kind of a
Okay.
spiritual successor to Argent in that it's this Euro and American style game fusion. It's going to be really cool. I've been playtesting it for about a year now, and I have really thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's really quick. Like as train games go, it's really quick. It's like 15 minutes per player. So you can finish the 4-player game in an hour, and that's something that's really, really cool for a train game,
Wow.
and it
That's
feels
pretty
a lot
fast.
deeper. Yeah, it feels a lot deeper than an hour than you'd expect with an hour of playtime,
Oh,
but you really get
wow.
to do a lot of things in that amount of time. It's very quick and fun.
Man. So is the alternate title Ticket to Indians or Indians to Ride?
I think Ticket to Indians was discussed. And we also called it Trains because of Trey Chambers. So TREYNZ. That's No Comento's
Oh
working
my
title.
goodness.
Um,
Nice.
but yeah, I'll be posting some spoilers about that in the next few weeks, which will be about the time this podcast comes out, and you can start talking about it then. But it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh man, that's awesome. So anything else or is that it? Cuz honestly, I'm set. Like tra-
That's the big announcement for this week. But hope I'll have more for you next week.
All right. So thank you so much, Brad, for talking with me on this podcast. I thank you all so very much to all of our listeners for listening. I hope you guys actually enjoyed us talking about board games, talking about some level 99 game stuff, and
It's episode 4. If they don't enjoy it, they're not listening anymore. You're only talking to people that like it now.
which is why I'm fishing for compliments here. Come on, you
No,
gotta
no, you just assume that you're doing okay at this point.
But I want my self-esteem robbed a little
Oh
bit.
dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Just kidding. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Again, I assume you enjoyed it if you're listening to the 4th episode. And I know we'll see you again next week. Bye.
See you guys then.